Drink on me, all these yo-ho, 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 a pirate's life for me.
To make sure your treasure is buried, your parrot fed, and the rum is poured. It's time to set sail on another Patches and Rum podcast, exclusively for members of the History of Pirates channel.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Patches and Rum podcast. We got kind of a small crew today, but that's not going to stop us from talking about one of the most craziest English heroes, but also branded a pirate person.
It's not fair to call him a pirate, is it? He's not really. I mean, he was a pirate, but he's not so much of a pirate.
Maybe
he was
more
on a whole nother level.
Tier.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of flying under the radar.
Just a tad. Lean back, have a snack, take a nap, says make Spain broke again. Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. An old Renaissance boomer has gifted 5 new souls.
Yeah.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Thank you so much. We are also, oh man, I kind of messed up. We are also live on our Facebook page. And I see you guys over there. We got some thumbs up. And
what's up, Facebook?
Yeah. How weird is that to say, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Whoops. Oops. Sorry. And then here's the thing. I've got a request for some of you guys in the chat. If you haven't done so, I need a favor because we would like to go live on Twitter as well for all our Twitter folks. But I need something from you guys if you can help. We need to get to 500 followers. Can you guys look at that? Unlock analytics. This is private. Look, I gave you private information. Can you guys help us get to just 500?
What he meant to say is get over there and follow it. That's an order.
Then we can go live on Twitter as well. So that's just what we want. We want to get to 500. I see Ivan over there on Facebook. What's up? We would like to do that. So I'm gonna put this link constantly. That's gonna be our goal. I don't know if we can hit it with everyone here because not everybody's on Twitter. And hey, I don't blame you for that. It's nasty over there,
such
man.
A bad thing right now.
I don't like it either. But maybe we could, maybe we can have some fun and make it, I don't know, make it piratey again. All right, we gained 1 follower. Thank you. Oh, that's better than none. And please don't make fun of me. I'm drinking out of my bougie.
Is that a Starbucks
cup that was given to me by Gina Carano?
Tisk.
I ran out of cups, man. I don't know. Like they're all. Anyway, Clyde gifting 5 memberships to the channel. Thank you. That gives us a total of 10 souls.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Already following thee. Thank you. Chelsea says, I'm not on Twitter, but my husband is, so I'll have him follow ye.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wash your dishes, Jay. Yeah.
Rude.
It's probably no rum until payday. What the heck? Hold on. Look at that avatar.
Is that? I was just gonna say, what's his?
Oh my, is that what? Yeah, it is what I think it is. That's awesome.
Yeah, we just want to get to 500 over there. So I would love to start live streaming. And then also this. Oh, thank you. We've got 5 more followers. I appreciate it. We'll get there. Also, what we plan on doing is thank you. Thank you. Someone said follow. Thank you. Let's see you, Spear, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. Also, what we want to do is once we turn on the premium and the subscriptions and all that, we're gonna post our videos over there too. So some people just like, I could just do it all on Twitter, one-stop shop. So there you go. That's the plan anyway. And Spirian has gifted 5 History of Pirate memberships. That's a total of 15.
15.
So
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
that's not enough, man. 15 plus 3. Me math's not good, but I think we need at least 100.
Me math's not good.
Quit begging and tell us a tale, says Greg the Goblin. Well, before I do that, Raider has dropped a 51.93. What are you thinking? What is that?
That is the amount of shipping lanes
My ears
that
vibrate.
existed outside of the East Indies in 1579. Ho!
Whoa. Right?
May your anchor ever be tight, Raider. 50 more for my crew.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Where'd you source those souls? You know what? I don't want to know. Never mind.
Holy crap, Raider.
Wow.
What
Raider.
are you doing, man? Holy
He's
moly.
vying
Everyone
for your
should,
spot.
everyone should be green. Almost everyone. I see you're at 422 Twitter followers already. Yes.
Wow,
Pretty
Raider.
cool. Holy crap.
Thank you.
I don't even know what to say, but
Thank
That's
you.
insane.
Say thank you.
I will say thank you. And
Drink
also,
up, me hearties, yo ho.
yeah, I need that clip. That's what I need. I need to start adding new clips because I don't have them.
Drink
All
up, me hearties, yo ho would be a good one.
That
Chad,
would
do
be
you have any
that
do you
would
have
be
any
a
idea-
good clip.
good clips?
I have a clip, Jack saying, "Stop blowing holes in my ship."
That's
Like that
another
one.
good one.
Yeah,
That's another good one. Raider,
I know
thank
it.
you.
Raider. Thank you, brother.
Mountain Mutt says he's still swabbing. I don't know, Commodore. How does he look? Wait, Commodore should be up top.
I see a spot over there.
Yeah, that's where someone took a poopy and didn't throw it overboard. Sorry, Mountain Mutt, but that's all you.
We drilled
any-
holes in the ship for that.
Raider. I don't know what to. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today, 10 minutes in, and we've already got 50, 65 souls for our ship. We're going to talk about one Sir Francis Drake.
Mm.
Some say was a hero, some say was a privateer, and others branded him a pirate. But man, did he have a story. One of the first people to sail around the world. He
The
actually
Spanish called him the Dragon of Doom.
lived to see his 50s, which was a rarity for people of that time.
Mhm.
And he spent most of his life on a boat. So
Pretty much the entirety of his life, other than a couple spans when he got back. I mean, he was out most of his life.
how do you think his sea legs were? Like, what
Sturdy.
you think when he got on dry land?
He just couldn't walk.
You guys ever been
Falls
on a
right over.
cruise? Have you ever been on a boat for like, a week and then you get on land and you kind of feel
Yeah,
your
but
body
even
still
like
feels like it's
cruise
walking?
ships are so stable comparatively. Like a wooden ship in the middle of the Atlantic for like 17 months, and then you get on I would puke the second I got on shore. Like, why is everything so
Probably.
level?
There's some people that can't even play Sea of Thieves because it makes them sick. So I can
Could you
imagine.
imagine? Yeah, could you imagine?
I've never.
It's
dealt
like,
with that.
hey, we're flat broke, honey. You got to get a job. Sir Francis Drake is gonna pay you for 2 years of labor. I get seasick, honey. Get out there and work. Like, you ever see that show? What's that show where they hunted crabs?
Oh, Deadliest Catch.
And those ships are built to go through those waves and all that
Yeah, they're
stuff.
still tiny though. Those things are tiny.
I'm just saying, like, imagine, like you said, imagine a wooden ship.
Although, to be fair, I mean, Sir Francis's ship was not all that much bigger. He sailed around on an 80-foot ship. The Golden Hound was only 80 feet. which is not big by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll get into that.
Just a side note, his ships had some really cool names.
Yeah.
All right,
I
everyone
like
in the chat wants to see what Wicked is wearing.
Everyone is like 2 people. Hold on.
She dressed
Those-
fancy for you guys. She can't
Those are
hide
the
it
2
behind
we
a lot.
allow on the top deck.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Wonderful.
She's our favorite wench. That's
Is
all.
that a Catholic cross or a Protestant cross?
I don't know.
Answer carefully.
It's decorative cross.
It's a decorative
pirate.
cross.
It's a pirate cosplay cross. That's it.
It's a decorative cross. Yeah. Anyway, I think about those shows like Deadliest Catch and like seeing those ships you know, go through like the cold and all that stuff, and yet we had these wooden ships, these people that would just disappear for months on end, and people wouldn't know if they would make it back or not. But I found and I'm gonna let our Commodore. He's gonna take the first half. But there's such a cool site right here. I don't know if you saw this. This is about Sir Francis Drake. If you're interested, it's called his Hidden Fortunes, and it goes over like the places he went, you know, and stuff that he kind of named and where he found treasure. And then what's really cool, they have some of the maps that he would have had. Of course, these ain't the actual ones, but like the maps that he would have had to try to go through these riverbanks and things like that in places that, you know, he's not didn't know what was out there. So I love this kind of stuff. I love these old time maps of like America on how they have it, you know, somewhat carved out only because of correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just like ship readings, you know. It's like they just measure it all out and just be like, well, the land looks like this because, you know, so many things out, like there's land, so we had to go down.
Well, they kind of got North America right, but look at how badly they butchered South America.
No, it's just a clump.
Yeah, like that's not what that looks like.
It's just a clump, a lot of islands, but you could see like the where they came, like all the way from Africa. There's England.
Is that Sierra Leone where they stopped right there? That one. So you see that little black line going kind of down and up the coast of Africa. Is that Sierra Leone right there? It is.
Right here, yes.
No. Up Sierra Leone's up on the kind of the northwest. That stop right there. Yeah, I think that's Sierra Leone.
I don't know.
Pay attention, kids. That's important later.
Yes. But just to see them like navigate through Asia, come around Africa, make a stop, and then swing all the way around. And then when they leave again, they come back, go down. I mean, I don't even see like the trail to the Caribbean, but this was his around the world journey.
Yeah.
So he came down around, you know, went all the way up, almost died of cold.
Yeah.
Because he was looking, I don't know, he's just going up the East Coast trying to find a way. And then
West Coast. Almost made it to, actually, he made it to California. Yeah. Made it to California.
Yeah, they said that it was almost like he was making his way up to Vancouver to find like Vikings or something, to find a way to turn around up top, like up north, to come back around. But there was like, they didn't know. Like,
good thing he didn't do that.
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah, he would have been stuck. So he didn't know. So he was like, "Well, I guess we'll have to go out on the Pacific." That was a crazy journey, and I know I've skipped ahead, but I just wanted to show off this.
We've got a lot to talk about with that journey.
So cool, you know. That's just freaking cool. So,
what was that ship there?
Kind of looks like the one in St. Augustine.
It's a replica. The golden.
That's the Hound replica
of one of his ships.
Yeah, so that was one of the you know, the English were using these much smaller kind of galleons, these much smaller ships at the time because they wanted something that was going to be faster and they wanted something that was going to be able to overtake these much larger Spanish galleons that they were using at the time. So they had these ships, but you know, this is the way I think about it as a moderner. In terms of comfort, that's not a great choice. That's a terrible choice. It's a really bad choice.
Why is that?
They had people sleep. It wasn't like, we think about these big ships and like the Victory where people are sleeping in hammocks and they have these accommodations and tables and things can be moved around. You were sleeping on the deck, if you could find a nice coil of rope to lay on, you'd be sleeping there, or, you'd be sleeping in a gun deck. And then if you wake up, you're hitting your head on the beams for the main deck because those gun decks are only 4 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall sometimes. So a very small ship for the stuff that they were doing. These were very, very small ships.
It's cruel that he has like he's remembered.
Yeah.
In like carvings and stuff.
You don't get that often.
Where's that?
This was after his death.
Oh.
One of 4 bronze plaques by Joseph Boehm displayed on the base of the Drake statue.
And they're kind of giving him like a traditional English sea burial here, but they actually stuck him he was in a coffin. It was in a lead-lined coffin when they buried him at sea, but that's way ahead of where we need to go. So
start us off, friend.
In a little town called Plymouth in 1540, maybe somewhere in between 1540 and 1543, is birthed a man named Francis Drake. So Plymouth was kind of a sea town. Everybody there was familiar with sea life. They spend their life on boats, fishing, trading, whatever the case may be. So Sir Francis Drake started on the sea at a very, very young age. And it just so happened he had a wealthy cousin named John Hawkins, who was also a seaman. And John Hawkins. One of England's first legitimate slave traders. Which was I don't know if I would call it a no-no at the time, but essentially Spain kind of had a grip on the Atlantic slave trade at the time. So we're talking about the mid 16th century, early 16th century. The Spanish had a monopoly on the slave trade because they had a monopoly on the New World. So all of the stuff that was going on in Central America, South America, and to some degree up into the Americas was really all controlled by the Spanish. And the Spaniards basically forbade any of these English merchants from taking part in the slave trade because they had a hold on it. And they didn't want anybody else getting into it and creating a profit. But John Hawkins was able to be mildly successful doing so. And so in his 20s, Francis Drake sets out with John Hawkins to go kind of disrupt the slave trade. England's in kind of a weird position at the time because Spain has such a chokehold on the economy. And beyond that, there's a little bit of an unspoken war going on between the Catholics and the Protestants at the time. The Catholics want to stomp out the Protestants. They want to get rid of them. Spain's working its way into Italy.
Say, that is the one thing a lot of people don't read up on or talk about, or like that's a piece of history that is so fascinating that I studied for almost 2 years, the 80-year war. And it's the only show that I've ever seen that actually talked about it was Shogun. So I don't know if anybody's ever watched Shogun.
The Portuguese.
But it was nasty. The Catholic Protestant war. So,
and it's crazy because it's two sides of the same coin, essentially. And you have these people in, a holy war against each other.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, they did not like each other. The Catholics and the Protestants were not fans of each other. And infamously, Sir Francis kind of sticks his sword in that stone eventually at one point. But so they make their way down into Africa to kind of take a stab at Spain, make their own way in the slave trade. And they start dealing with warlords in Africa, kind of around Sierra Leone, because at the time, most of the people who were being sold off in the slave trade were prisoners of war between these different tribes that were warring in Africa. So they get a bunch of people. Unfortunately, it's hard to talk about that way, but they get a bunch of people. They're buying them at £2 per person in Africa, and then sailing to the New World and selling them at £22 per person. So it was a lucrative thing, a horrible thing, but a lucrative thing for them to do. So they make their way to Mexico, and King Philip of Spain decrees, nobody's going to sell on my purse, okay? I don't want anybody selling in my purse. Don't sell in my purse, okay? And basically, Sir Francis says, tug off, mate. I don't care. I'm going to go sell wherever I want. So he sails down to Mexico and winds up in San Juan de Ulia. San Juan de Ulia. It's a Spanish port where he's going to sell off all of the people that he's brought over from Africa. And during the negotiations, while this 6-ship fleet is here in port, a Spanish fleet shows up and blockades them inside the port. So he's with his wealthy cousin, 6 other ships. They're completely blockaded off and they're done for. They're completely done for. And somehow in the conversations, it's told that Sir Francis Drake, just Francis Drake at the time, is going to be allowed to leave. For some reason, one ship out of that convoy is going to be able to leave. I don't know if it was to get rid of, if they had sick people or whatever, to go back to England. So he makes his way out of port, and as soon as he makes his way out of port, the Spanish open fire on the fleet and just
why does Wicked look sad? I don't
decimate them.
I'm listening to the story.
I know.
Sorry. Am I
He's
telling
telling
a
it
sad?
really well.
It is a sad
That's my
story.
kind-
And shout out
Concentrate, please.
Ivan over on Facebook with the super, I don't know what it's called, super chat, superstar. Thank you.
I'll
Star.
go like this instead. When I'm
Superstar.
Yeah.
listening. Is that better?
No, this sets up his whole life trajectory.
Yeah,
against Spain.
this is the crux. This is when this kind of all takes shape. So John Hawkins and his fleet are, essentially decimated by the Spaniards, and Francis Drake is like, I'm not helping. I'm out. Like, you said I could go, so I'm going to leave. So he takes off and goes back to England, alone with his crew. And the whole thing is a complete loss. It's a complete loss. Sometime after, shortly after, John Hawkins shows back up on the English shores and is like, this guy's a turd.
Yeah.
We were getting annihilated. We were getting shot up. People were dying. And he just peaced out. And so it creates this kind of inner real hatred for the Spanish.
Yeah.
Real hatred for the
He's
Spanish.
like, they made me look bad. I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah. And
How dare you, Spain?
We start to see almost like this. I don't want to overstep here, but almost this like Cartman-esque personality trait of Sir Francis Drake, where he's like, they made me look bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate them.
No, it's true.
And
it's true because he's got a bad name for himself, and he's like, I gotta prove. And the other thing too, because of that, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Queen was kind of like, she pushed away from him just a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though like he did like come back with some stuff, but they were just like,
they came back with a mediocre haul. And Francis Drake was excited because he feel like he'd finally kind of found a name for himself. He was given charge of one of Hawkins' ships in the convoy, and so he felt like he was really becoming something, and then just absolutely gets embarrassed by the Spanish. So he comes back and he feels like he needs vengeance. Vindicta. Yeah. He's upset. Tell me when you want me to stop, because anybody can take over at any point.
No, keep going.
Okay. So he decides he's going to set up a raid, essentially. He's going to go back to kind of the same area, and he's going to disrupt this extremely lucrative silver trade that the Spaniards are, basically have a chokehold on right now. And so what the Spaniards are doing is they're taking copious amounts of silver from South America, all up and down the coast, the western coast of South America, and they're hauling it all up towards Panama, because remember, there's no Panama Canal at this point. They drop it off at the shortest distance between two shores. They load them up on donkeys. And they walk for 12 days through the jungle until they get to the other side, and then they load it on ships and they take off.
And War Machine with 10 gifted members.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Thank you.
Pick up some silver.
Yeah, that's a heavy it's a heavy box to carry, man.
Yeah, it's insanely heavy. I mean, you got to realize they're bringing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of silver, across this, where will one day be the Panama Canal, to get them loaded up on ships. And because of the location and because of the power of Spain, they're largely untested at this point.
Yes.
Nobody's trying to take them out. Nobody's, pushing against them. So what is one guy going to come ruin this? Like, nah, we're fine. And so they never see Francis coming. Well, kind of. So he shows up at this, what was the name of that port? Nombre. I wrote it down somewhere here. It's Nombre de Dios.
That's it.
Anyways, yeah, I think it's Nombre de Dios. There's this town which is where the donkeys show up and they offload this stuff onto the ships. And Francis Drake shows up and basically looks around and goes, "This ain't that fortified. Like, hey, why don't we just take it?" And so him and his
one man, but old Renaissance boomer says, "Here's 5 more."
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
While he's saying that, Cole Hauser drops in with a $2 from Canada, says, "Avashi, mateys."
Avast, brother.
And old Renaissance boomer says, "This is for Gohan Create." Oh, thank you. He just started a brand new business. So, man, prayers to you. He says, "Best of luck and prayers for your success, man." That's awesome. Man, run for your dreams, man. Run for your dreams. You only get one life. And Gregory for 2 says, "Yar!" Look up the band Ailstorm.
Ailstorm? I love that.
We'll write that down. Thank you, Gregory, for the $2 holler. So now Sir Francis is about to steal a bunch of silver, which some believe that was like the crux of his fortune.
Wait, not yet. Not yet. Almost.
Not that one? Not the big one?
This wasn't the big one. So he goes into the town and he tries to take the town and gets shot in the leg. And everybody bails out. They're like, "That was so dumb. Why did we do that? That was such a stupid idea. Like, what the heck were we thinking?" And so they kind of back off and they're like, "We thought that was going to go super great and it didn't go great." Yeah. So they leave and they decide they're going to have to enlist the help of some locals or somebody that knows the land if they're actually going to pull off what's going on here. So hold on, let me pull it because I never remembered how to spell it. He enlists the help of a local populace of people called the Cimarroons. And the Cimarroons were actually slaves that were able to escape these different plantations in South America. And they made a home for themselves. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was to say that meant wild and unruly. That's what that meant. Cimarron. That's why they call
So they made a living for themselves in these extremely harsh conditions. Like the South American jungles are not to be messed with at all. And these badasses were like, "We're leaving the plantations. We're going to go live in the mountains and we're going to cut out a life for ourselves." And so there were these different communities of all these different people who just wanted freedom more than anything and created these communities in the mountains. And because Sir Francis Drake was English, and the English at the time were basically saying that slavery was a no-no, and any man who steps on English soil is a freeman. Hey, this guy looks kind of cool. Let's help him out. When really they didn't know that it was only because of necessity, because of the Spanish, that the English weren't really partaking in the slave trade. So he gets this gentleman named Diego to join his crew, and Diego outlines this path that I was talking about that the Spaniards follow to bring the silver up to these ships before it goes back to Spain. And so they set up a raid. They jump in out of the jungle like a scene from The Patriot. They kill a bunch of these guys. Spaniards flee into the jungle, and all of a sudden there's 19 donkeys laid with 900 pounds of silver sitting there in the jungle, and they're like, "We did it. We did it." And
sometimes it was just that easy.
Sometimes it was they were completely unprotected, almost completely unprotected. And so Francis goes, "Jay, how many pounds of silver can you carry?" And the guy's like, 75. How far do we have to go? And they're like, 18 miles. He's like, "Okay, maybe 50 pounds. And then they go, "Wicked, how many can you carry?" And they find out that they can't get all this gold back to the ships.
Silver.
They can't carry. Oh, I'm sorry, silver. There's gold and silver, if I remember correctly.
Was this the 30 tons one?
No, that was later.
Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
You're good.
So they've had this problem more than once.
So they have all this silver. They can't get all of it. And so what do they decide to do? They bury it in the jungle.
Yeah.
and Francis Drake draws a map.
Yeah.
And he says, if we ever come back, we can follow this map and we'll find our buried treasure. And that is the genesis, the birth of the treasure map.
And there are people to this day still looking for it. And some would even say some of his treasure is on that famous Oak Island thing that they've been documenting forever.
Never been found.
So,
which is pretty crazy. And it's so cool because,
hold on a second. Let's think about this. You're minding your business, man. You know, you're in the Caribbean or something. You trip over a rock and it's actually not a rock, but it's a piece of a chest. You dig it up because that's what Americans do. And you crack it open and it's like there's gold in there. Now, what's the
first thing I'm doing is not saying anything to anyone.
What are you doing? Like, are you like, let me just call and turn this in, you know? Or is it like, maybe I should put some in my pocket? You would eventually have to tell someone if you were going to sell it, or you just charter a ship and go to like South America or someplace and be like, I got all this gold. You want to give me some cash?
You know what I'm doing? I'm smelting it all down into smaller segments and selling it everywhere.
Like you just make like weird bricks and just say, this was given to me by my grandma.
My grandma found this somewhere. I'm like, Jay, hey, can you get rid of 50 of these? You know what I mean? Like,
kind of crazy. But you want to know what's crazy? Is Chewbacca near?
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Chewbacca.
I'm telling you, I get more gifted memberships on this channel than any channel I've ever owned ever.
Welcome to the crew.
I ain't complaining. I'm just saying. I think you guys like that little. I think you guys like being a part of the crew and going to work. That's the thing. Yeah, Soul Assassin. If you found the treasure, would you tell anyone? That's the thing. Maddie over on Facebook says, "Hi Jay, how are you?" That's the thing.
Would you?
No. Finders keepers.
It's a tough one, man.
It's not like it was like someone's locket that they lost and found. Like, I don't know.
Well,
man. Like,
let me ask this, and the chat would know. And I did say 80-year war earlier. I meant 30. Sorry about that. For the Catholic and Protestant war, it was only a 30-year war. The different states, right, and different countries have different they have different laws about that, right?
Laws of discovery.
If you find money, you know, so like I know some states, if you find something, I think it's 10,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure. $10,000 or more in cash, you could turn it into the police, and if no one claims it within like 29 days. I think that's the law in Florida. I gotta double check. It's never happened to me, so I don't know. Then you can go back and they'll give it to you. But then you got to fill out this form for taxes and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So it's like if you found a big bushel of silver and gold, the chances of you keeping it are very slim. That's what I have to say. Because if you turn it into the government, let's say you found it in the Bahamas and you're like, hey, look what I found. Can I get it? Oh, we've been looking for that for years. Thank you.
Oh, you found it. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think would happen. Like, especially,
aren't they dealing with something like that right now? Like they found a wreck with a bunch of money in it, and one of the governments is trying to take it. I thought it was in South America or something like that.
South America, they found like $3 billion in a wreck, and one country's claiming it because they found it, and the other country's claiming it because it was their ship from like 300 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I'm like, I mean, I'm trying to think what I would do. Like if I found like pirate gold, I think that'd be kind of neat to see. Now this was just raw silver, I'm assuming, right? So it wasn't in any.
No, they were ingots.
Oh, so it wasn't coin.
They did have some kind of smelting. They had some kind of a smelting process, and the stuff that they were packing out on mules were bars of silver.
Danky says, have you ever been diving, Jay? Yeah, many times. In Florida, yeah. Florida Keys, the Florida Springs. I snorkel. Maybe that's not the same thing.
Different.
Elliot says, if the silver or gold were taken off a Spanish ship, it's still Spanish property. Okay.
Not if I don't tell anyone about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs.
There would be signs. Yeah. This bar's got something that says East India what? Perfume
Yeah,
company? I'm
I
like,
know.
yeah, I think so.
I know. It's just like, where would you go sell your gold? You have to go somewhere and just be like, Grandma died and I found this in the backyard. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Backyard.
Like, how does that work? All right. So anyway,
So yeah, they get all of this somehow they get all of this silver out of the jungle. It's 18 miles back to the boats. These guys are such badasses. They haul all this silver back to the boat on their backs, throw it on the boat, and they're like, "Thanks, Spain. I'm out." and they just leave. And they go back to England, and of course now the Queen is like, "You're my favorites." Queen Elizabeth I is just like, "You're the
Oh.
greatest thing since sliced bread. Thank you." So they pay their dividend to the Queen. She makes a bunch of money. And at the time, per the Abandoned Shipwreck Act, any abandoned shipwreck in or on the public lands of the United States is the property of the U.S. government. That's such a United States thing.
it is.
Yeah,
That's why
no,
like,
it's
why just
here
keep-
now,
just
brother.
keep it. Just
What are
keep
you
it.
gonna do? Come take it?
But I think if you could turn the money in and no one claims it, I think you get a piece of it. Something like that.
Yeah, that's
But
see,
how do
that's
you
what I
how do you
don't wanna
trust our
deal with.
government today with that information?
Yeah, no, I'm just not telling anyone.
I think they put that law into act years ago because there's a bunch of Spanish and English and all kinds of ships that are sunk that people still haven't found that probably have tons of gold and silver on them. So
Yeah, the east coast of the United States was the site of many, 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 many ships battles with a lot of lost money.
yeah.
But to the point of what somebody said earlier in the chat, a lot of pirates were just after like rum and sugar and stuff like that, and those ships sank. And there's
That's the crazy thing. It's like even here with Sir Francis Drake, like one of his biggest commodities turning back into England was spices.
Mhm.
You know, like when he went around the world, it's like every time I hear that, all I could think about is like people in England, and this, forgive me if there's someone from England watching, back then didn't know how to cook. Like they just like
You mean back
spices,
then.
like spices were like gold to them. I mean, they wanted like that's like the number one haul. It's like, oh, that ship's got full of spices from India, like salt and pepper, you know, a little curry here and there. That's worth its money in gold. So it's like every time like they come back, they're like, what was their haul? Well, it was barrels full of spices that the Queen loved. So you're rich and famous now. It's like, really?
Well, I mean, the East India Trading Company at that time, well, not at this time, but later on, had become its own nation off of spices. You know, they had the largest
I'm
operating
saying, like,
military in the world off of spices.
It's just crazy to me that was, is that how sucky their food tastes, that they needed spices?
And then somehow in modern day, they've returned to their old ways. They've just gotten rid of it. I don't know. It's weird.
So
So anyway,
Where were we?
Sir Francis Drake, Francis Drake at this time, makes his way back to England and is hailed as a hero. Like, I can't believe you did that. And now here's the tricky part. The Queen of England can't be seen dealing with somebody like that because there's no open war between Spain and England. He's operating under his own little kind of thing. He's not a privateer. This is not technically a crown sanctioned mission, what he did, anything like that. He was acting as a legal there was a term for it, and I'm sorry I don't remember it right now, but
it was a privateer, was he not?
No, it's
Yeah.
not a privateer. It was a
No?
legal, and there's a thesaurus word for
Mark?
like strike, rebel. He was a legal operative at the time, but at the same time, the Queen couldn't be seen, posting this guy all over England and saying he's our savior, he's awesome. And so she basically says, look, I'm willing to fund more of your adventures, but you can't do it under my name. You can't be, the savior of England, punching around all over South America, killing people and taking boats and blah, blah, blah. We just can't be seen doing that.
Was this when she formed the enterprise of, what was it? Hold on, I wrote it down. Ulster? Or is that not yet?
I don't know the enterprise of Ulster unless that's the one that goes.
So I have it. Drake was asked by the Queen to join a new program called the Enterprise of Ulster. It was for English and entrepreneurs to set up new businesses in areas of Ireland. You don't know about that?
No.
Where there was still armed resistance.
Educate me.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Drake was supposed to help keep the peace, but he did the opposite. This is before I know you know this one. This is before the big massacre. What was it called? The Rathbone Island massacre. Yeah, that was right
so
before
this is gonna be like late 19 I'm sorry, 19 like 15 the late 1950s, somewhere around there. So like 1570s, early 1570s, probably. This is in that 7-year gap before he comes back into service. So this is still way before that. So he comes back to the crown. The crown says, hey, we like that. You should do that again. And Sir Francis Drake now, I'm sorry, not yet. Francis Drake says, I've got another idea for another expedition. While we were down there and we were raiding the silver, I looked to my right while facing south and I saw a whole new ocean, the Pacific Ocean. I'd never seen it before, right? Like look, the Spaniards are way ahead of us doing all kinds of cool stuff. We got to do that too. So she gives him her blessing to do it. And Francis Drake straight up lies to everyone in the taverns around England. He hires over 160 people and says, we're going to do like a 3-month, 4-month journey. It's like in and out. We'll make some money. We'll come back to England. Everything's going to be fine. Little do they know, it's like a 2.5-year journey.
Yeah.
He's lying through his teeth and says, like, everybody hop on the boats. Let's go make some money. And sets off for the west coast of the Americas.
And that's the map that I showed?
Yes.
His travels. So here is a updated map that's not so poetic and colorful. But this is it right here. So
yeah, so leaving would be red. Although
no, Drake is purple.
Leaving is purple. Yeah, I was gonna say, because he goes all the way up the coast of the Americas.
Yep.
And then hits the loop.
No, this is so Drake is the purple one. The red one is someone who tried it in 1519.
Yeah, Magellan.
Yeah. So Drake left England, went all the way down. You would think that they would
made a stop. He made a stop, and it's really important too, because as he gets kind of off the west coast of Africa, he stops somewhere called Cape Verde and immediately attacks a Portuguese ship.
Yeah.
Because the Portuguese had maps of the Pacific.
Yes. So he stole maps and then he threatened them to show them, he wanted information from them pretty much. So
yeah, so he sets off with the rest of his merry company, the Fellowship of the Wing, and gets down to the Strait of Magellan. And the Pacific greets him with all of her might and absolutely slams his convoy of ships. One ship sinks, everybody dies. Another ship turns around and is like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. You said it was 3 months. I'm done. Before they even get there, actually, as they're headed down the coast of the eastern coast of South America, his second in command, White, what was his name? I wrote it down.
Hey man, I was just trying to stick with the story. No, it was brutal.
Thomas Doughty.
He started with 100 men.
It's 160, including noblemen, musicians, soldiers, all these different people.
And from what I'm reading, he only returns with 59.
Yeah. So here's the crazy part. As he's on his way down, to South America, like I said, he brought 12 noblemen with him too, which I think gave some kind of credibility to his expedition. His second in command, Thomas Doughty, he said, You said 4 months, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? And starts spreading sedition through his crews. And so, Francis is like, just put him on another ship and give him the captaincy. Maybe he'll shut up. Well, he doesn't shut up. And he keeps spreading sedition through the crew. And so eventually, Francis hand picks a jury and says, Thomas Doty, I'm accusing you of treason. What do you have to say for yourself? Well, obviously, with his hand-picked jury of people that he trusts very much, they find him guilty. Francis cuts his head off on the way down there. Then they get to the Strait of Magellan. His entire convoy is lost, and the only ship to make it around the Horn is the Golden Hound. Just him.
It was what I read when he made it up to the Vancouver area, that he was trying to find like Vikings or some type of, and Wicked's camera goes super blurry. X-Wing comes off the screen because he was trying to find people that would tell him how to go back that way, like basically make a U-turn from up here in Canada, because they didn't know these waters. It was freezing to death, and they couldn't stand the cold, so they had to go back around. So they decided to go through the Pacific. They ended up in the Philippines, these places here, and discovered more spices, hung out, made the big loop around, and made it back as a hero. And while we're waiting on our Commodore variable for $10, this is very sad. I do remember hearing about this. I live in Marion County, home of Sir Francis Drake Boulevard and Drake High School. Due to woke BS, they tore down the Sir Francis Drake statue and renamed the high school, and tried to change the name of the boulevard. Fig move. Yeah. They defeated racism. Good job, Marion County. Good job. It's sad that in this country that's what we think is, that statues and names are like the problem. Anyway, Mountain Mud for $20. Thank you, Commodore. Tried to swab wait.
Do you want me to go? Should I do it?
Yeah. I see you, 19K Fox, too, my brother. Good to see you.
Mountain Mutt says, Commodore tried swabbing the lady's head, but there was no poop. Diswabby confused. Why no poop? Wenches no poop? Need answers. Diswabby not understand why no poop. Me no poop deck not really have poop, but dis make no sense. I would say it's better to not ask questions you don't want the answer to, lad.
The rain washed it all away. That's all we could say.
Okay.
But yes,
where's that map? That map was perfect.
The one that I had up.
Yeah, because there's a couple more things we got to do, and then it becomes the round. So they left out a couple stops in here, it looks like. So he's headed up South America, and he's telling his crew, we finally made it to the promised land. This is where we're going to start making money. The first place he hits in South America, he doesn't get anything but 1,000 bottles of wine, which is awesome, by the way, because you got to realize a big problem on these ships was that they didn't have clean water to drink. And so a lot of times they supplemented it with their beer, with wine, with rum, things like that. Grog is just half water, half rum. And they found that if they pour the rum in the water, it keeps the bacteria out and mold and stuff like that.
Grog.
So he makes his way up. He gets 1,000 bottles of wine at the first stop. The next stop he hits, and this is the really cool part, he starts acting like a Viking. They source wood from the land and start making small Viking ships, basically, that can travel up and hit these small ports. He starts acting like a Viking. They have a big main ship, and then he hits these raids going all the way up the coast of South America into Central America. He gets some pigs to make his crew happy, but he's not making any money. And his crew's getting pissed, and he's getting pissed because it's like, this is supposed to be the biggest score. We're finally here. We're all the way around the world. We're completely alone. What do we do? What do we do?
It's okay, man. Get him next time. All right,
Kings.
My Kings. So he captures, and this is what you were after, Jay. He finally captures some Spaniards and says, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" And he learns about Nuestra Señora de la Concepción. a Spanish treasure ship. Finally, a treasure ship, not something with wine or cloth or whatever the case, a treasure ship that's floating somewhere along the coast of Central America. And so, what does he do? He goes into silent running mode, acts like he's a merchant, and spends the next month hunting for the ship, La Concepcion, to try to take it down. And you got to realize at this point, they've been at sea for 17 months, over a year and a half. Who knows where home is at this point? You know, you're on the other side of the world, and they're like, we're going to go attack a giant ship that's heavily guarded to get some treasure. I'm assuming the crew was a little worried at that point. But they go silent running. They go up the coast and they finally find her, La Concepcion, sailing down the coast. So they wait until night. They sail up next to it under false flags and boom, set off all the cannons, shoot them right down into the gun decks, scare the crap out of the Spanish because they're like,
what's going on?
Who's shooting at us?
Yeah, why would they shoot at us?
There would be no Englishmen around here. There would be no, like, who's shooting at us, and immediately surrender. And that dude pulls in somewhere in the neighborhood of like $150 million in like a couple hours.
Yeah, there it is. There's a drawing of the events that happen.
Absolutely wrecks them. And they're saying there's I love these fun little accounts. These wooden ships used to pour rocks into the bottom of the ship for ballast to keep the center of the weight down to keep the ship stable. And they were saying that what they would do is they would pull rocks out by the bucket full and dump them off the side and replace them with silver bullion because they had so much weight in silver. They actually weighted the ship, the ballast with silver.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
20 tons of silver and gold, too much to carry. They buried a large sum of it, taking what they could back to their boats 18 miles away. Oh, that's the story you read already.
Yeah.
Burying the rest, they built a raft to get back to their ship. That's freaking wild, man.
So this would have been right around 1578, 1579 when he takes the La Concepcion. And you would think at that point, he'd be like, we did it, guys. Let's go home. But he had one thing left he wanted to do. He needed to really deal a blow to the church because he's still bitter against the Spaniards, right?
Yes.
Still bitter against the Spaniards. So he goes to, what was the name of that town? Huatulco, Mexico. He raids the settlement, takes everything he needs. And I think the way I picture it in my mind is he's leaving and he sees the church on the hill, the Catholic church on the hill, and goes, I'm going to make my mark. So he goes up to the Catholic church, destroys all of the relics.
Hold on. Everyone's saying math is hard, and I was kind of like, what are they talking about here? But it was talking about you. You said he was at sea for 17 months, just shy of a year and a half, not more. The Commodore's not good at math.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
17 months, just shy of a year and a half, not more. How did you get that out in one sentence?
Me don't math so good.
That's pretty good, though. Everybody caught it in the chat. I didn't catch it either because
I didn't either.
I didn't catch it either.
My thing. Everyone was saying math. Look at that. Greg's like, math is hard. I get it. Like, people
leave me alone. I'm spinning a story here, lads. So he goes up to the Catholic Church. He destroys all of these, which, by the way, I feel like if you're Protestant or Catholic, any way the wind blows, this is like blasphemous. This is not a good thing. He destroys the church, breaks the crucifixes, destroys the artwork, and then kidnaps the priest. And this was the big FU to the Catholic Church. And this is where Spain really takes him, because he was enemy number one kind of at the time. But now he's not just after riches. Now he's after the church. And the Spaniards basically deem him this demon. He's the dragon of doom. He's a horrible person. He's public enemy number one. Screw Francis Drake.
What's crazy to me is how easy people did a lot of damage in the name of religion. They put people against each other. They burnt women at the stake if they claimed that they were witches.
Wild.
Crusades were horrible, torture, all in the name of religion. And even during that time where it was like they convinced people that Catholics are not it, that they're wrong, they're terrible, and they need to be rooted out of this world. So it's like that's and that's what these people believe. They were like, well, we want to do what God wants us to do, so we've got to get rid of them. We've got to just tear them down because they're spreading across the world with their message that's wrong. So we have to be good soldiers of the Lord and destroy them. So, and their minds at the time, what's crazy is if they just maybe open the Bible, read a little bit in there,
Like, don't do
maybe.
that.
I know the Bible was not as accessible as it is today for, a lot of people. So maybe that's just,
I don't know. It's pretty accessible. It's been pretty accessible for a while.
oh man, there's still countries today you can't get it. What are
People
you
just
talking
like to
about?
pervert it. I mean, Deus Volt, God is with us.
I know,
The
but I'm
14th
just
century
saying.
was insane, man.
That's all I'm saying, though. Reading is hard, Jay. What are you talking about?
It is hard. I've barely just learned.
But I mean, usually captains of the ship, they most of them could read very well.
Yeah, 100%. They should be, and
So-
especially him at this point. He'd worked his way into the nobility and blah blah blah. But
When
It
did
was
he
also-
get the two ships, the Dragon and the Swan? Was that him, or did I get my notes mixed up? He
I
didn't
don't
have
know the Dragon and the Swan. That might have been
Oh.
during the naval campaigns.
Okay, I think
but I
that was
don't know the
that's in the
names of the
beginning
ships.
of my notes, so that was like in the beginning of his like career.
They could have been
so-
in the first convoy,
Those are cool
but I know
names.
he only had one ship in the first convoy.
Oh, okay, continue.
But yeah, so he deals this giant blow, symbolic blow against the Spaniards, and at this point he's now kind of California area, working his way up north. And he knows if he turns around and heads south, he's going to run into an armada. I mean, you know where they're coming from. They're sending ships after him like crazy.
Yeah, they want
And
his
so-
head.
Yeah, dude, like it's one of those I'm trying to think of like a movie equivalent where it's like, I don't care what you do, just kill
Yeah.
him. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just
right.
kill him. Just get rid of him. And so he decides, and I can't imagine like the thought process that has to go with this decision, like turn west. What's out there? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. The Spanish have done it, so it's doable. You know what I mean? We can go that way. The Spanish had been trading in the, kind of in that direction across the Pacific. So he turned and he bolted for home, but you don't know what home is. You don't know where you're going. You
The
basically,
sea was his home.
yeah. I mean, I guess to that point, it's, it's
Yeah.
kind of whatever, but you're turning and you don't know how long it's going to be. You don't know how many provisions you have, if you're going to make it, if you're going to run into anyone, or if you're going to run off the edge of the world. Like, you don't know.
That's where my story came in, where he was looking for Vikings to help him make a U-turn over by Vancouver, Canada area, and he couldn't find any.
Yeah.
And it got too cold and some people died. And so he's like, well, let's just press through the Pacific and see what happens.
I guess that's what we're doing. So he kind of, he did it. He
Yeah.
pushed west. He wound up, he
In
wound
the
up
Philippines.
in the Philippines, in the Indies, and kind of flipped around and did some loop-de-loops, and then finally found his way to the Horn in South Africa, and was like, hey, I know this place. And it was like, we did it. And then headed up the west coast of Africa, made it back to Sierra Leone, and then flipped his way back up to England. And eventually in what year was it? Oh man, that was like the last date I needed, and I didn't write it down. I thought I did
1580?
write it down. It was 1580. September of 1580. He shows back up in
He took his
England.
ship to the Plymouth Harbor, where it says that he was filled with treasure and spices. Drake's fortune was permanently made, despite Spanish protest about his particular conduct while in their waters. Queen Elizabeth herself went aboard the Golden Hind. Is that how you say the name?
No, that's how the English pronounce it. It's the Golden Hound.
Hound. Spelled Hind.
The Golden Hind.
Okay. which was lying. Man, that ship has seen stuff.
Yeah.
Then she knighted him right then and there.
Yes. So I saw somebody in the chat say, like, put some respect on it. That's Sir Francis Drake. Not up until now. So the Queen actually goes on the Hound and knights Sir Francis Drake and brings him into nobility in England. But the problem is that a lot of the nobility in England really looked down on the guy because they saw him as excuse the French, but like a shish starter. It was like,
Well,
dude, you've been all over the New World pissing off the Spanish, trying to plunge us into a war, you idiot. Like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want your gifts. I don't know you. Stay away from me.
he was two of the big things that he was known for. We'll say one was we haven't gotten there yet, but the massacre, because it was mostly women and children that were killed because it was like a safe haven where resistance people were posted up and they were like, gotta take that fort out. And I mean, he wasn't, I don't, it's kind of iffy if he led it or not, but he was there and he was a part of like the higher ups that
Is
led
this when
that.
he becomes a part of the Navy? What year was
This
that?
was, let me see, what is it
This was an Irish rebellion.
Yeah, it was, God, I lost my place now.
While she's looking for that, Justin for 5 gifted 5 more souls.
Found it.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
This was 5 years before what you're talking about now. So he was present at the Rathlin Island massacre in Ireland.
Oh, okay, so this was in between the two expeditions.
Yeah, he was acting on the instructions of Sir Henry Sidney.
Mm.
But yeah, it was mostly women and children. It was 200 defenders and several hundred just bystanders, really.
Ooh.
Innocents. Yeah. So once that happened, people were kind of like, you're a little shady. Because that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Seems like history has favored the nicer portions of a story because for some reason I didn't run across that one. I think they're sweeping that one under the
I think
rug.
it was pronounced the Golden Hind
Golden Hind
at the time.
At the time.
Ian's from across the pond, so maybe
He knows, and he has a sloop, so he knows his
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know if he actually, I just say that.
This is for
Yeah,
you,
what's a sloop?
Commodore.
Mountain Mutt for $4.99 says dismentally handicapped swap. Oh, okay. I don't know what to do here. This mentally handicapped swabby still confused. Also, why Captain J smell like rotten turtle and vomit?
Hey,
You
Hey.
know, turtle was actually a favored
had a little too much
treat on pirate ships. Turtle and penguin.
Yeah, they love to eat penguin flipper. I don't know.
That was a big thing when they
I gotta bring
were
Clipper into this.
when they were coming through Magellan Strait, is that they were surviving off of penguins. But they
Listen,
found out that penguin turns really quick, and a lot of people got sick from stomach worms from penguin.
60 days out to sea, anything you catch in that net, man, like it's going on
eating
the
it.
frying pan. Like whether it's a
100%.
dolphin, shark,
Jay
turtle.
will eat worms on
Meg.
Sea of Thieves, so he would.
I bet, yeah, I bet they would even trying to figure out how do we make this jellyfish into something edible? What if we
Yeah.
fry that stuff up? After his return to England, he becomes mayor,
Mayor of Plymouth.
a mayor of Plymouth. And then his
he
wife
thought
died.
that was like his big thing, was mayor of Plymouth. I'm like, you circumnavigated the world, and you're like, mayor of Plymouth. He was happy
yeah.
about it.
You gotta chill at some point. You gotta settle down.
They might have been eating cats. I don't know.
Oh,
100%.
But yeah, mayor of Plymouth, and then he went to settle down, and his wife died. I like how how this history letter says she was a Cornish woman.
Not the Cornish. Like a game hen.
Why would they call where is a Cornish woman from?
Cornland. I don't know.
Drake-
I don't
Drake's first wife, a Cornish woman named Mary Newsom, who he married in 1569, died suddenly. That's the crazy thing about back then. It's like people just died. They just woke up and they're like, "You doing okay in there?" I hear a cough. I'm fine. And that hour later, they're just dead. No one knows. Like, they don't say like died of this, died of that. They just died. You know, how old were they? 30 years old, 35?
The
Oh,
ripe old age.
I always think
yeah.
it'd be
It's
a
just
fun
like,
conversation to go back and like, oh, how did they die? And they're like, what do you mean? They died.
It just happens.
Yeah.
For a certain age.
What do
So,
you mean?
Mayor,
No.
how's the wife doing? Oh, she died. Oh,
She's dead.
okay. Moving along. The Cornish wife died. I wonder if they just, I'm sorry, it just made me laugh when I saw like that's how they described her. Named Mary. Mary was a very popular name in England, it seems.
Yeah.
Everybody was named Mary back then. Mary or Elizabeth. It's because his second wife was named Elizabeth.
There you go.
He married again. And it said that Sir Francis Drake was kind of depressed as his days in Plymouth because neither one of his wife bore him any children.
Mm.
And that's what he wanted. He wanted a lot of children. And holy crap, Ian!
Whoa.
Ian!
Is this
What?
real? The Cornish? Wait.
Yeah.
The Cornish are a proud and bizarre people in the southwest of England. What makes them bizarre? Beautiful place, though.
I don't know. Maybe
Ian
because
with
they're
a
Cornish.
$50.
Their name. I don't know. I know. I'm kind of curious.
So
What
can
does
they
make them
still do
bizarre?
they still parade themselves, Ian, when they show up in other towns? Hi, I'm Cornish. That's all I'm saying. Like, I wonder if that's Kyle says they
I
love their
hope Jay never
pastries.
meets someone that's Cornish. He's gonna be like, "Hi, I'm Cornish." Just gonna start laughing.
The Cornish are like they're kind of the rapid speakers. You know what I mean? Like there's the Scouse, which you just can't understand, and then the Cornish are like they almost sound Irish. They're like it's just kind of
No way there's no way X-Wing is right. So the
Yeah,
Cornish are
100%.
fast talkers. The Cornish want to be independent in a weird way. What is this weird way?
they're
Hold
they're
on, I
kind
gotta
of
find a video. I
Irishy
need
a
to
little
hear.
bit.
I
I
want
don't
to hear
know.
how they sound.
You're gonna look up Cornish people like on
Yeah.
YouTube?
It's
Yeah.
literally. I didn't need to finish it. Talking was the next thing. People look it up.
They're mad
Yeah,
corny.
Ian says I cannot understand the Cornish. So maybe that's why they labeled her like that was how they described her. Like they wanted to make sure people knew that he married a weird woman. Right? Now,
Well, I don't
Wicked
know if
is
it's so much that,
laughing.
but I mean, so when I think about it too, I mean, there's like the Scouse, right? So have you ever heard a Scouse accent?
They have their own flag. They're weird, y'all.
Scouse is like it's the hardest for me to understand. It's
Sorry.
ridiculously hard for me to understand. But that's something that came from naval terms at the time, and in fact, like pirate food as well. Scouse was a stew that was served on ships. So they would take hardtack, they'd make a kind of a gravy-ish, liquidy kind of something. They'd soak the hardtack in it, and they'd serve it with like bits of bacon or salt pork and stuff. And that was the stew. It was a Scouse stew. And so that's how that all kind of came into being, was the ports there.
Are you listening to the video?
I'm like looking up Cornish women. I don't
just
know.
sent you in the private chat. Look, sent you a video. You want to hear it?
Oh, we have a video to listen to.
All right, here we go. I just grabbed the first. Sorry, Wick, I didn't see yours. This one says Cornish women want proper meals for her children. Oh, Cornish, yeah.
My daughter, she's nearly 15. She's near 10. She'll be at the back of the queue. By the time she gets to the front of the queue, there's literally nothing left. And if she's lucky to get anything, it will be plain pasta in a pot, which she takes away and eats.
I have no idea what she just said.
That's not too hard to understand at all.
The one
She
I
was
said
in the
was
back of the
funnier
queue
'cause
to
it
the
was
front of the
in
queue, and
West.
then
Well, I take my daughter, and she's in the back of the line, and by the time she gets to the front of the line, there's nothing left.
and
there.
then she said, "Hit it," and then she said a bunch of gibberish.
I'll look into
Yes,
that.
yeah, how
Ian.
is it going?
Cornwall
Go,
his-
go, go, go.
British pirate history. Cornwall is a must. Okay, maybe the next episode should be on Cornish pirates.
So there is Josie May has a YouTube channel, and she is a van life person that drives to Cornish's village. I didn't know van life was popular across the pond.
It's very popular in the UK.
No, Scouse accent's from Liverpool, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, here we go. Is this all right? This is the last bit. We'll move on from Cornish. I just thought it was funny that they decided to. This is what Cornish women look like, apparently.
Out to people across Cornwall, nationwide. We've got a number of women working our business. I own the business with my sister Tor, and so there is quite a female influence going on. I think what I've taken away from today is that there are still challenges.
All right, I can understand that.
Yeah, she's not. She's not.
I just
crazy.
gave her another view. There was only 70 views on this 7 years ago. There you go. Cornish women, everyone. Apparently, they're weird. Anyway, his Cornish wife died, and he married another one named Elizabeth. And he did some cool things for Plymouth. He helped the water supply that served the city, even past after he died. And he just kind of moseyed around like being the mayor. So, and then 1586 happened. By 1586, it was known that Philip II was preparing a fleet for what was called the Enterprise of England. And they had the blessing of the Pope to return the crown to the fold of Rome. Drake was given a carte blanche by the Queen.
Carte blanche.
To impeach the provisions of Spain. So there he goes. He took a fleet of 30 ships. That's kind of crazy. He destroyed numerous vessels, tons of supplies. So he did that.
Yeah, the queen basically, after everything that he was, that's kind of weird. He was kind of shamed at this point, but also kind of not shamed. And the queen basically said, be my vice admiral for this war that's coming, because you've done so much and people are going to be so excited to serve under you. And yeah, that first one, he wrecked shop.
Yeah, he did good. Then all of a sudden we get to the end. He's lived a heck of a life. He's in his 50s now, which is
55.
a little rare for those parts. People didn't really live that long, and they decided that he would do an expedition that led him to Portugal. And it was his last voyage, because in 1596, against the Spanish possessions in the West Indies, it was a huge failure. The fleet was like being blown to pieces, and most of the people caught a fever, which Drake himself caught and killed him.
Yeah,
and he was
Dysentery.
Yeah, so his first one, he came back and he was a hero. He's like, see, we knew we picked a good one. And then he goes out again and gets decimated by the Spanish fleet. 10,000 men are left for dead in his second campaign. And a fever takes his crew.
And him.
And he dies.
Crazy.
I mean,
like
it
you
seems like he lived he actually got to enjoy his riches a bit, because it was what, 1580 or 85 that he got that big, right? And it was 96. 96 that he
damn
died,
cartels and their blanches. Yeah, I read that wrong. Carte blanche. I don't use that word every day, so
It means like white map, but it means a blank check. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like,
freaking dude. Like, are you kidding me? After all that, he gets the
What?
poops.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the crazy thing though is they didn't have, like, we don't even know what it was. It could have been any kind of sickness run through there. They just called it the fever. She's got the fever. And it's usually like people just don't look good. They don't know what to go. Well, what's he got over there? He's looking a little pale. I think he's got the fever.
Yeah.
So,
Give him some leeches. Stick a
yeah,
worm in
like
his ear.
bloodletting, leeches.
Yeah.
They didn't even like know how to like
Stick some mercury in his pee-pee.
Yeah, that was another one. They rubbed mercury on their wounds, So maybe maybe that's what. Yeah, they weren't wearing a mask. That's why it spread so.
We complain about healthcare these days.
Variable for $5. Forgot to mention that when I'm going up down SFD Boulevard, Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, I'm wearing my Welcome to Rebellion hoodie.
Let's go. We need a picture of that. Can we get a picture?
Yeah, that would be
Put that
kinda
thing
cool
on
to see.
Twitter of you with the Welcome to the Rebellion hoodie in front of the Sir Francis Drake street sign. That'd be cool.
People are staring at you because they're jealous that you look that awesome.
Hmm.
But yeah, it could have been like anything. At 1590, your country wasn't even created then. Bless you, LOL.
What can I say? We excel rapidly. We're Americans.
Wait,
And now we're better.
we were created in spirit. That's all. But yeah, it was just like people just got whatever. If someone sneezed, whatever flu that was going around, everybody caught it because they weren't taking their Flintstone vitamins or eating right. They were standing in the sun all day. There was salt water in their face.
They pooped together. They ate together. They
Yeah.
slept together. Yeah, it's
not like they had a change of underwear for 60 days.
if one person got it, everyone got it. There's no getting
Easy.
away from it. You're on an 80-foot boat with 60 people. Like,
God, what does the sleeping quarters smell like in the Caribbean?
well, hopefully you get some fresh air in there. But I
Yeah, but it's
guarantee
below
dudes were,
deck, dude.
I
Man,
guarantee dudes were peeing on the wood in the gun decks and stuff.
I'm just saying, there's no
stank.
there ain't no fans down there, man. Like I would feel like I would be more comfortable sleeping on the deck than
That's why I
going down.
yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, put me under the stars. I don't care. It's fine. But then I think about those portions of the voyage that Drake took when they do go through the Magellan Strait, and everybody thinks it's South America.
Yeah,
It's sunny. It's nice. No, it was snowing.
yeah.
People were nearly freezing to death. And
Yes.
like we said at the very beginning, people were sleeping on the top deck. Imagine having one change of clothes, being soaked to the bone from sailing every day, and then sleeping in 30 degree, 24 degree, 16 degree weather on the top deck.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm good.
Thank you.
I would just want to be where there's the most air because, man, I don't know how they. I don't know. It just you just must get used to the smell.
Yeah, I think Chelsea nailed it. You get nose blind eventually.
But I mean, like, you've been on a boat for 60, 70 days. You go to a new land and there's a bunch of people meeting you, and your first impression is, man, you smell like crap. Your breath is horrible.
Yep.
You got blisters in your teeth, your gums. I mean, like, it's all bleeding. None of your wounds are healing properly. Your hands and skin are all scaly and leathery because of the salt air.
Yeah.
You look dehydrated and malnourished. Your hair
What?
is probably
And
all
your
thinned out.
Your clothes would be like cardboard from all the salt drying on your
Yeah.
clothes. You could like knock on it.
And then you're like, hey, let's go visit a brothel. I'm sure the women can't wait to see us.
Ugh.
That's just gross, man.
Wicked's like, nah.
But I mean, think about the women that service these men at the brothels and stuff. It's awful. They go into a bar and everything. It's just like, that's rough, man.
That's what probably stunk was the brothels.
Oh, yeah, everyone.
Guys
had
getting
everything.
so blind drunk they were peeing their pants on the benches and gross food and the 3-letter word I'm not gonna say.
Listen, toothbrushes were not invented or anything like that. It's just pretty crazy. Your lips were chapped worse than a tile on a Spanish rooftop.
Yeah.
Probably.
That was the
Yeah.
one thing that they did say about him is that he had Francis Drake had like record lows of disease, scurvy, all these different things. But here's the thing. His adventures were backed by the crown. So he probably had a little better provisions when it came to actually like setting
Probably
out.
had a barrel of limes in there to stop scurvy. It's really
Did
not
you know
hard.
that's how limeys got their names? Because they used to bring oranges and lemons with them, and then when they got down there was no citrus, and they found limes, and that's
Yeah.
why they called them limeys.
It's so crazy that that's all they needed was to get rid of scurvy. It's just squeeze a little
A
lemon
bit of
on
citrus, man. A little bit of that old vitamin C.
there, and then it's done. Well, his story lives on today. For
Yeah.
those that are across the pond, is he still looked at as like a hero? I'm assuming there's still things up about him. You guys have to let You guys have to let us know.
It's tough, man, because I feel like he kind of died a sad death, I guess, at the end of everything for all his exploits and everything that he did. At the end all be all, he, at least in his time, he kind of died as a failure because of the exploits of the time. But for everything he did, I mean, dude, the guy's a hero, man.
Yeah, especially in England. So did us Americans, for you guys across the pond, did we do him any justice? That's what I'd like to know. I
X-Men
mean,
was
technically
ready.
he's part of us, England. So that's where most of our roots come from. And again, Sir Francis Drake, the inventor of the buried treasure and the treasure map. Also still looking for his treasure today. Who knows? They could be everywhere, could be nowhere, could be found, could be sitting in Buckingham Palace, and they just didn't want to tell anybody because they'd rather have people just keep searching because the tale lives on.
Or somebody already found it and didn't bring it to them and did exactly what we were talking about. And it's like, whoa. But no, he is truly the man who took on the Spanish Empire by himself for the first to circumnavigate the globe on record.
Yeah.
A hero.
That the crazy thing though, he took on the Spanish Armada with like we talked about earlier with like a lot of smaller ships. Like he just used a lot of speed and sneakiness and he got the job done.
Yep.
So, Kenny Long says, Jay, for the next Patches Around podcast, how about a topic of food and drink they would consume? How they cooked, prepared, stored, and fished. Maybe we could, I don't think there's that much to tell, but we could definitely include that in like a whole, like different jobs on a ship, like stuff like that. So,
how the ship
like
works
that
is a very interesting thing. And there's a fair amount about food. There's actually one pirate who's considered the culinary pirate. He was a foodie. And he went all around and recorded all these different things he would eat and tried to make different dishes with it. And it was the first time we ever saw the recorded word avocado. It was the first time we saw a bunch of different things that we have in our language that he did.
I will say this. I do want to get a good book on Sir Francis Drake and like just read about his adventures. So if you guys want to recommend me one over there in England, let us know. What's up, Stephen Brown? Before you go, I want to show you something. Before you go, this is a little sneak peek, and I see you, old Renaissance boomer. I got your super chat in just 1 second. This was sent to me by 9 Line Apparel. This was a tester, and I love it.
I need
so it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, probably around November. We are going to get Vindicta shirts and hats, an exclusive 2-week run from 9 Line Apparel. Once they're gone, they'll never be available again. So the ones that we will sell with the book will not be from 9 Line, and the money goes to help veterans, of course. A portion of the profits goes to their 9 Line Foundation, which I love. But this is a stitched Vindicta hat. I love it.
Stitched. So, you just don't get that anymore. Everybody screen prints everything.
Yeah.
And then they fade and they look like crud.
That's it's going to be an awesome launch when we get to it. So look for that. This is going to be launching first, and then we're going to have some other goodies and stuff like that. So black hats fry my noggin in the summer. I'm sorry. So I hope you guys pick this up. We hope to. So basically, I think 9 Line said that if we sell 2,000 units, they will take care, Steven. They will keep this up in the store. That's usually how it works. So our goal is to sell 2,000. So this will be available forever.
That would be.
Is it fitted? Awesome. It's not. It's a snapback.
Snappies.
It's a snapback. Sorry, I know some people they like those stretched hats or anything else, but I don't know, guys. I think we could sell a combination of 2,000 hats and shirts. It's kind of a tall order, but maybe this is going to be for the book sales, and I believe
in our crew. I believe.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, And if you don't know, I hope you guys know, it's coming out next year.
Stormy, pilfery, filches, and drink up the oddies, yo ho. Marauded, embezzle, and even hijack. Drink up the oddies, yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
So are really excited. I know we are. First, I got to launch Achromatic Chronicles Green, and then next year will be our first Adventures of the Daughter's Revenge. Old Renaissance Boomer for 5. Imagine all these crazies, cancel pigs, libitards had to try to survive in the times of Sir Francis Drake. They wouldn't.
I don't know if we would.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Just thinking about it, I don't even know if I would if I would live that long. If I knew, like, but I guess maybe back then it's like going on a ship. What an adventure! But
What would
then
you
you're
do,
like,
Wicked?
What would I do? I'd be
Yeah.
fine. I'll cook chicken.
she could cook. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Sunday
I'd use
sauce.
spices. And I would use spices so they'd be like, oh.
I see you, Rob, over on Facebook. But that's our podcast for today, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you to the
any
crew.
questions?
Thank you
first?
to all the members here, by the way. I just want to give a shout out. Thank you guys for supporting this channel. You guys are incredible to allow us to come here and talk about pirate history. I love you guys. Thank you.
And you're gonna see some. We got new stuff coming. You saw the short by our Commodore. He dropped a short. We've got a Ann Bonnie top 10 video coming out this week. And we're trying to get our Twitter page up to 500 followers. So this will be live and put the videos up on Twitter. Be pretty awesome. Star Wars Dog for 2 says, happy Monday, y'all.
What up, dog?
No problem. The show is awesome as always. Thank you. Always a great stream. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody else is saying like it was awesome. I appreciate you guys coming out for something a little different than our normal pop culture, politic, things like that talk. We enjoy this. This channel is so much fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, he didn't drop his shorts. Anyway, that's it from all of us. To all of
Drink
you.
up, me hearties, yo ho.
Anything wicked? One last thing to say?
Nope. Nothing.
Nothing.
Got nothing.
Thank you for being a first mate and listening to the Patches and Rum podcast. Now get back to your station or I'll send you to Davy Jones' locker.